As a business owner, you're going to have a ton of people come out of the woodwork and ask you to buy their marketing, myself included. This happens. But what I want to do is give you some good guidelines on how to look at the marketing world before you decide where your money goes so you can make some good quality choices. Let's talk about it.
The Mammoth Plumber podcast with Tyler Williams on the mic. He's dropping marketing gold, making your business spike.
All right, one of the biggest issues that I have seen lately is people buying things they shouldn't be buying given their marketing budgets or where they're at in their business. And I've talked a lot about how your business is going to go through stages. And as you go through stages, you're going to need to change your marketing methodology. And usually you're just going to add layers to the machine. And as you add layers, the machine gets better, but you can easily add an expensive layer that's meant for a different kind of company than you are today and overblow your budget. And that's what I don't want to see happening, because then you never get to the point where you can hire someone like me to actually do the work. So let's give you some guidelines on what to look for. So this whole thing came up because of a story. It always comes up because of a story. And you're going to find this a lot. So as you're going about your day, doing your business, you're going to get a whole bunch of calls from marketers and advertisers saying, hey, would you like to buy our thing? It's the best thing in the world. And this will absolutely grow your business. And you have to realize that a lot of those people have one thing to sell. And this has been a problem since we were doing radio and television ads. Every TV station, every radio station, every newspaper had one thing to sell: radio, TV, newspaper. And then there were some factors inside of that, like, oh, do you want the sports section or do you want the news section? Like, do you want the local news section or the world news section? Do you want country radio or do you want something that's more like AM, like talk radio? And it depends on the demographic you're going after. And so as an agency, we would help people make those choices at that time. We don't place that way anymore. So we don't help you make those choices in the same way. But you have to remember that every salesman that comes out of the woodwork, they're only going to be able to sell you one solution for the most part. And this is actually where agencies have a tendency to thrive, is a good agency really should be the steward of your marketing budget. They should take the entire ecosystem and take a look at it and say, all right, based on how much money you have to spend, you should spend it here, 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 and here. Because, and I'll give you a really good example. I had the company say, hey, I'm thinking about buying this radio. It's $36,000 a year. And I can't help but go, okay, if it's $36,000 a year and it's radio, you have very little control over who it actually reaches, because radio is very much a shotgun blast out into the broadcast market, right? TV is kind of the same way. You also don't have any control over whether or not someone's paying attention, and you have absolutely no control of whether or not they even have the radio or TV on, right? Same thing with billboards. If you have a billboard that you have and you're like, oh, well, yeah, cars, people carpool all the time near me, and so everybody's going to see that. No, they won't. They're looking at their phone when they're sitting there. Just because you place the ad doesn't mean that they're paying attention to the ad, which is why it's also important for your creative to garner attention. Another topic for another day. But the biggest thing that I see is somebody rolls into your office and they say, hey, buy my package of radio spots. Oh, and it'll come with this or that. And it's not the first thing you want to buy. And my predecessor, the guy that I bought my agency from, had a really good analogy for all this. It's like, when you go and you buy food for your family, you buy the meat and potatoes first. Like, because you have a limited budget. You're not going to sit here and buy all the cakes that you want or buy all the ice cream that you want. No, you're going to go after the meat and potatoes. And for most of you in the plumbing industry, your meat and potatoes is going to be social media. First and foremost, because that's where your target demographic is, because they're busy and that's where they absolutely have some time. So what they get to do is they get to grab their phone and spend some time scrolling in between laundry, before they have to pick up the kids, before they have to take the dog to the groomer, or if they're working, it's on their commute home, if they're in public transit, or in those little, what I call this is those stolen moments. They're tiny little 10, 15-minute chunks of time. Not enough to sit down and listen to the radio, which nobody's going to do, but they're also not enough to turn on the TV and watch what? Regular scheduled programming? And don't be fooled by OTT, because OTT, which is over-the-top television, it's the digital placement on ads. This is the TV back here, and it's got a whole bunch of apps that I can run ads on if I want. Except here's the problem. Those ads are movies and TV shows, and yes, they're a captive audience. They have a time and a place. But for the most part, your audience is going to be very, very small, because the apps that are free, that means that person doesn't have a lot of disposable income in the first place. And those that do are going to be somewhere else. So social media first, because you need somebody who has enough disposable income to have somebody fix their plumbing. And that's really important. So when a salesman comes in, they're only going to sell you the part of the ecosystem that they look at. And they are going to have their case studies. They're going to have their testimonials. They're going to say, well, we did this for this person. Look how their business blew up. One thing I want you to be extremely careful about as you think about all that is, what else was at play, right? I could have said, man, we started marketing for a company in 2020, and then in 2022, they became $5 million. And how did that happen? Well, it was all our marketing. No, it was because a whole bunch of COVID stimulus money got dropped into the market. The company had no choice but to grow practically. It was very easy at that time to grow. But what it means is that there's other factors at play when there's things going on. So one thing I want to be sure that you are thinking of is the entire marketing ecosystem. You've got all these levers to pull, and if you pull the wrong one, if you put all your money into the wrong one, you're not going to be able to afford the customer when the customer is cheaper over on another platform. That's what analyzing your budgets needs to be about. Where do we put the money to get the most result? And the results are going to vary depending on a number of factors. So first you go after the audience, then you try and figure out what to say to the audience in order to make them pay attention. And then you have to reverse engineer, how many times do we need to say this in order for them to actually care about us? And then because you're plumbers, you have to wait, which is kind of a bummer, but it's just the way it is. You have to wait for them to have a need, right? Most of the time. Sometimes you can you can run out there and say, hey, water heater special. But how many people in the market, if your market's this big, this many people actually need a water heater, and it might not be enough to fill the schedule, right? So there's a lot of factors at play in between. But honestly, where we see the best results is you buy those meat and potatoes, you go for social first, and then you saturate that. Once you feel like you've saturated a spot, you either choose to grow that platform, or you start working on buying the desserts. The desserts would be something like, I don't know, radio, a billboard, even a mailer I might call dessert after a certain point. But the biggest thing is you're going to have all these options later, but don't buy them too early. And this goes for just about everything. You need to be careful when you're early and when you're scaling and when you're growing about what media to buy and when. Don't buy radio straight out of the gate. Don't buy TV straight out of the gate. Right now, and this could change in 6 months, buy social. Buy social media, saturate the people, hit them at least every other day for a few months, and you're going to have chatter. And that builds influence. Then once you have influence, expand your market or add new platforms so that way your influence starts to stack, and that builds even further credibility. You must become a household name for a certain number of people. And that's what the whole goal of the marketing and advertising is supposed to do at its core. So that way, when people wake up, they got a problem, who else are they going to call? They're going to call the people who told them that they're 5 stars multiple times on social versus the one time they happened to hear them while they were waiting for the dentist on the radio. Anyway, I hope this clarifies some of this whole world for you. If you would like my team to look at your marketing stack and give you some thoughts about, hey, here's where you should spend your money, we would be happy to do that. These consults are free. We do run an agency, so we have services, but you don't have to buy anything, and you get the roadmap either way. So whether you do it or we do it, doesn't really matter. We just want to be helpful first. So you have a good one, and remember, buy the meat and potatoes with your marketing. Take the whole ecosystem into consideration, and we'll see you on the next one.
Want to grow your business? Here's the plan. Go to TylerWilliams.net and be the top in the land. Now let me tell you the epic tale of how Tyler Williams became the marketing man. His story begins when he was just a year-old lad. His mother needed a plumber, but their ads were so bad. The house flooded and sank, and young Tyler was mad. Swallowed by the earth, into the abyss they fell. He blamed the bad marketing that led them to this hell. At 1 year old he vowed to the stars above he'd harness marketing power and give plumbers some love. He's Tyler Williams, the marketing baby. From tragedy he rose to bring plumbers joy. With a vow to the stars and a plan in his hand, he's the one who saved them, the marketing baby. 10 years later, he set out on a quest to find ancient secrets that would make him the best. He tamed Mark the Mammoth and rode the wilderness fast, fighting bland campaigns, leaving them in the past. In a glowing cave with lights so bright, he found a dead wizard clutching tablets of might. For 30 long years he studied those stones, deciphering marketing secrets that shook him to his bones. He's Tyler Williams, the marketing boy, imbued with power, returning pain into joy. With fire in his eyes and stone-carved campaigns, he brings plumbers the truth to ease their pains. 30 years later he emerged from the cave, riding Mark the Mammoth, a legend so brave. Back to Alaska with tablets in tow, he chiseled new ads ready to make them glow. His campaigns were epic like discovering fire. Plumbers would soar, lifted ever higher. He hit the launch button, the world wasn't prepared. Neighborhoods flooded with jokes as Tyler declared. After 40 long years of learning marketing power, the baby became a boy. The boy became a man, and now Tyler Williams finally became the fabled marketing man. He's Tyler Williams, the marketing man, bringing plumbers out of the Stone Age as fast as he can. With jokes and memes, he blankets the land. Soccer mom swoon, it's all part of the plan. Now Tyler roams the world with boldness and might, crafting campaigns that set everything right. He's bald, bearded, with glasses in place, laughs at his jokes, but they're never out of place. With a smile and a wink, he launches the show. His ads are dumb, but they make plumbers grow. He's the marketing man with campaigns so grand, bringing plumbers out of the Stone Age as he planned. So when you see Tyler, remember his quest. He's the marketing man who's simply the best. Bald and bold, with a mission so grand, he's Tyler Williams, the marketing man.